You reach for your phone the moment you wake up. You scroll while you eat, listen to a podcast on the commute, check messages between meetings, and fall asleep to a show you've already seen. The idea of sitting alone with nothing but your own thoughts feels uncomfortable, even dangerous. But the ancient Stoics built their entire philosophy on the opposite conviction, that time spent alone with your mind is not empty time to be filled, but the very place where wisdom, self-knowledge, and freedom are forged. Marcus Aurelius wrote his private reflections while commanding armies on the Roman frontier. Epictetus taught in a small school after spending decades enslaved. Seneca wrote letters during exile and house arrest. None of them had the luxury of retreating from public life, yet each insisted that the examined interior conversation, the dialogue you have with yourself when no one else is listening, is where philosophy actually happens. Stoicism, as described in the historical record, emphasized that the mind is in rational dialogue with itself. This was not meditation as escape, but a disciplined practice of testing your judgments, examining your reactions, and distinguishing what you control from what you do not. The Stoic framework rested on a simple division. Some things are up to us, our beliefs, our intentions, our responses, our values. Everything else, wealth, reputation, health, other people's opinions, belongs to the domain of external events. Solitude is where you practice that separation. When you sit quietly and notice your thoughts, you begin to see how much of your distress comes not from events themselves, but from the judgments you attach to them. The Stoics believed that passions, anxieties, and insecurities are misguided reactions that ought to be controlled through self-disciplined practice, not by suppressing emotion, but by examining the beliefs that produce it. This is not easy, and it never has been. The modern version of the problem is distraction. Algorithms designed to hold your attention, notifications engineered to interrupt reflection, and an entire entertainment infrastructure built to ensure you are never bored. But the ancient version was remarkably similar. The Roman world was full of noise, gossip, political drama, social obligation, and the constant pressure to perform. The Stoics did not withdraw because solitude was easy. They withdrew because it was necessary. They understood that without regular time alone with your own thinking, you become a reflection of whatever voices are loudest around you. Your judgments stop being yours. Your reactions become habits borrowed from the crowd. Stoic philosophy was traditionally divided into three interconnected disciplines: logic, physics, and ethics. But all three converged on a single practical goal, what the Stoics called living in accordance with nature. That phrase can sound vague or mystical, but for the Stoics it meant something precise. Aligning your life with your capacity for reason and living according to virtue rather than impulse, fear, or social pressure. And that alignment requires you to know yourself. Not the version of yourself you present to others, but the actual structure of your thinking, your automatic judgments, your hidden fears, the beliefs you have never questioned because you have never stopped long enough to notice them. Solitude is the laboratory for that work. It is where you test whether your reactions match your principles. It is where you notice the gap between what you say you value and what you actually do. It is where you catch yourself rehearsing arguments that will never happen, or replaying conversations that are already over, or building resentment toward people who do not know you are upset. None of that becomes visible in the noise. It only becomes visible when you sit still and pay attention. Here is what the practice actually looks like. In the morning, spend 5 minutes reviewing the day ahead, not your calendar, but your intentions. Ask yourself what challenges you are likely to face and what virtue you will need to meet them. Patience in a difficult conversation, honesty in a moment of temptation, courage when something goes wrong. This is not positive thinking, it is rehearsal, a way of preparing your judgment before the pressure arrives. The Stoics understood that virtue is not a feeling, it is a skill, and like any skill, it requires deliberate practice. During the day, when you feel frustration, anger, or anxiety rising, pause. Name the emotion without acting on it. Ask what belief is driving it. If someone criticizes you and you feel defensive, the emotion is real, but the Stoic question is whether your worth actually depends on that person's opinion. If a plan fails and you feel crushed, the loss is real. If a plan fails and you feel crushed, the loss is real. but the question is whether the outcome was ever fully in your control. Solitude is not the absence of emotion. It is the space in which you examine emotion before it dictates your response. In the evening, review what happened. The Stoics called this practice an examination of conscience, though it was closer to an athlete reviewing game footage. Where did you act according to your principles? Where did you react out of habit, fear, or pride? What would you do differently tomorrow? This is not self-criticism for its own sake. It is the deliberate work of aligning your behavior with your values, one day at a time. And it is work that can only happen when you are alone, when there is no audience to perform for and no distraction to dull the discomfort of honest self-assessment. What changes when you practice this consistently is not your circumstances, but your relationship to them. You stop seeking validation from every conversation and approval from every decision. You notice when you are trying to control things that do not belong to you. You become less reactive, not because nothing bothers you, but because you have practiced distinguishing the event from your interpretation of it. The Stoics believed the goal was living a well-reasoned life, one aligned with virtue and rational judgment. That alignment does not happen in the noise. It happens in the quiet. The Stoics also believed that the universe operated according to reason, what they called logos, a rational order that human beings could align themselves with through disciplined thought and virtuous action. Whether or not you accept that cosmology, the practical insight remains. You cannot align your life with anything if you never stop to examine what you are doing. Solitude is not a luxury. It is the condition under which self-knowledge becomes possible. It is the space where you can ask whether the life you are living matches the life you intended, and if not, what needs to change. The discomfort you feel when you sit alone with your thoughts is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that you are not practiced. The mind, left to itself without training, will replay anxieties, manufacture problems, and chase distractions. But the Stoics understood that the mind can also be trained. Philosophical discourse, they believed, was paramount, including the rational dialogue you have with yourself. That dialogue is not automatic, it is cultivated. And the more you practice it, the more clearly you can see the difference between what is real and what you have added through interpretation, judgment, and fear. This is why the Stoics insisted that philosophy was not an academic subject, but a practical guide to living. It was not something you studied in order to impress others with your knowledge. It was something you practiced in order to live well, to act with integrity, and to maintain your freedom even when circumstances were difficult. And the foundation of that practice was the willingness to spend time alone with your own thinking, examining it, testing it, and refining it. Not once, but daily. Not when it is convenient, but especially when it is hard. Stoicism emerged in ancient Athens around 300 BCE and flourished throughout the Greco-Roman world until the 3rd century CE. It was founded by Zeno of Citium and taught publicly at the Stoa Poikile, a painted colonnade in the Agora. Its adherents included emperors, slaves, and exiles. What united them was not their social status, but their commitment to the idea that a good life is built on rational judgment, self-discipline, and the cultivation of virtue. And every one of them understood that those qualities are developed in solitude, in the moments when you turn toward your own mind and ask whether your thoughts serve you or control you. The modern world offers more distractions than the ancient Stoics could have imagined, but the human struggle remains the same. We still avoid solitude because it forces us to confront what we have been ignoring. We still fill every quiet moment because silence feels like failure. We still mistake busyness for purpose and noise for connection. And we still suffer, not because external events are unbearable, but because we have never examined the judgments that turn those events into sources of distress. So here is the question to carry forward. If you never spend time alone with your own mind, how do you know what you actually think, what you truly value, or what kind of person you are becoming? The Stoics insisted that philosophy was not a theory to be studied, but a discipline to be practiced daily. And the practice begins in solitude, with the willingness to turn toward your own thinking and ask whether it serves you. Stoicism: master your judgments, practice what is yours to control.